right. Hello? Great. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Before anything else, I actually wanted to say a few words of thanks. Thank you guys, of course, for having me over here, for inviting me over and listening to me speak. But besides that, I also want to acknowledge here Kenneth Yu and Will Hanson Lee. They're here in the front. Say hello. They're two, more than just my teammates, my co-founders, and my very good friends. They're also my very good friends. And while I might be here standing in front, we wouldn't be where we got here, without our joint collective efforts. So without further ado, why am I here? Why are we here? Because we felt like it. That's the title of my talk. And it also happens to answer a couple of the questions that get asked to us often. So how do you guys get started? And why do you guys do what you guys do? Because we felt like it. It sounds like a very who cares kind of answer, but the reality couldn't be farther from the truth. You'll see that doing things for the heck of it, or because you actually really want to, is really important. It's important to find your passion and why you do the things you do. We're probably most well known for winning this competition 2-3 years ago called the Imagine Cup, where we represented the Philippines and won in this, the international championship. It was called the Imagine Cup. And we won it with this game called Wildfire, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. But one of the things that a lot of people wonder is, so how did we get started? We're actually a group of 5 friends who got together, decided we want to do things. And we come from different backgrounds. We come from different, different courses, different universities. But we actually have roots that go farther back than that. We were actually once students here in Xavier. And we'd get together, we'd talk in the cafeteria, I don't know what you guys call it now. And we talk about all sorts of things. But the things that we really loved were, of course, technology, computers, software, and of course, games. I mean, who here doesn't like games? Or who here likes games? No one? Okay. Yes, great. Everyone, hopefully, to some extent. And, if you like something well enough, you tend to think, okay, man, this game is awesome. When I grow up, I want to make games too. But unfortunately, when you say that, you'll often, encounter a couple of responses. Don't waste your time with that. That's meaningless. Or, if you play too many of those games, you're going to become a crazy, violent murderer or something like that. Right? And, of course, get a real job. That's not safe. You won't make money. What are you going to do, play games all day? Thankfully, my parents were actually very supportive of what I wanted to do. But for some of my other teammates, that wasn't the case, and I'm sure for some of you as well. But, if you really love something and hear statements like that, you'll probably think to yourself, no, that's not true, right? So in our case, we started thinking, why did we like these games? Why were they so important to us that we could not accept these statements? Why did we enjoy them so much? It turns out that these games are actually media on the same level as anything else. Like your novels, your comics, graphic novels, books, television, film, theater. They're just a different form of medium. The biggest difference is that, the previous generation didn't grow up with these things, and we did. And in fact, for a lot of these different things, when they first came out, like when novels first came out, like hundreds of years ago, they weren't treated as real literature. When film came out, they were like, no, that's not like real theater. Even the introduction of color and sound into film were fought because they were like, that's not real film anymore, because film is supposed to be black and white. It's supposed to be silent. So we think that, we're at this point. So we said, what? Never mind, we'll just go do this anyway. And as with everyone, we usually start early on. Even as far back as grade school and high school, we tried our hand at some of this. So this is, I think, from Height 2. You can tell from the ancient interface, it's all glossy and ugly, right? And even the work is actually pretty ugly. We ended up not using it. But we tried our hand at doing a couple of things. Through grade school, high school, even through college, we did a couple of things. When the App Store first came out for the iPhone in 2008, we said, hey, let's try making a game. We got as far as making a splash screen, a basic level. And then we said, this is a lot harder than we thought. We ended up not publishing it after all. But we kept going. And eventually we got to the point where we started joining, we felt, let's join some competitions. Besides doing games, we also loved software. And we wanted to see software that we wanted to use. So this is one of the things we did. It's so basically an app for Android that lets you track your phone. If it gets lost or stolen, or you can remotely wipe it, you can see all the text messages and calls made while it was away. And this was before, you know, Apple's Find My iPhone or Android's or Windows Phone's built-in features came in. Although, of course, their built-in features are now better. Well, you know, that was a long time ago. Besides that, we also joined, you know, even more competitions for the 2009 Imagine Cup, the year before we won. We also joined and represented the Philippines. We didn't win, but we created the software for, for health visualization, for health data interchange and all of that. While we didn't win, you know, that didn't stop us from trying. We were like, you know, we really love software and technology, but, you know, let's you know, do something we really enjoy. What kind of software do we really enjoy? And that's, of course, with a game. And the game that we won with was called Wildfire, and it was actually inspired by, the events of Typhoon Ondoy. I'm not going to talk about that because we all know how terrible that was. But the theme of the Imagine Cup is solving the world's toughest problems through technology. Solving the world's toughest problems, never mind the technology part. And we're like, okay, with Ondoy, it was a terrible calamity. You have all of these people trying to organize together. But the biggest contributor to our recovery, so to speak, was the willingness of people to help their fellow men. That spirit of volunteerism that came about. And so we decided to make a game about that. Looking back, one of the reasons we probably loved games so much is because they tell stories, they tell experiences like all other media. They just happen to tell them in a very different way. And it's hard for people that don't see that immediately to recognize that sort of paradigm shift, if you will. So we thought, you know, we could sort of prove that by making our own game, and we won a competition to boot, so that was a nice bonus. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's important to find what you love. There was this video earlier about a guy who was talking about finding your passion. I'm trying to give a concrete example of that here. If you like something hard enough and you like it enough that you don't listen to people telling you otherwise, you'll eventually get good enough at it. And if you get good enough at it to make a living out of it and to make a name for yourself, then all the better. So here we are, we won that competition, which actually provided a big jump start for us. It was sort of our launch pad of sorts. It gave us money to start, it gave us capital to start our own business. It gave us a lot of visibility and exposure. We're like, okay, great, now we can make all the games we want. Unfortunately, making games or anything nice, anything with quality takes time. Right, and if you're on your own, you just graduated from college, it also takes money, which is just as important. So, if you're taking your sweet time developing this new game or this new idea, obviously you're going to run into a problem, which is how do you keep the lights on, right? How do you keep paying for all of your expenses? You can only rely on your parents for so long. And the answer is that for most people here anyway in the creative and technology industries is that they do consulting work or outsourcing work, contractual work. They would do work for other people, which is not a bad thing. It's actually one of the biggest contributors to our economy right now. But how do you keep doing good work? How do you keep doing work that you love? If you're, for example, a computer scientist or computer engineer, you graduate like, yeah, great, okay, now I can do awesome stuff. And then you get hired to work on like enterprise systems or Java software or databases, which are all really important, right? I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but it's probably not what you signed up to do. So how do you manage to keep doing stuff that you do want to do? In our case, we actually chose to work only with other local startups that have ideas that we think are pretty cool or that we believe in. It's important that we have that we make this distinction that they're local startups, so we want to help people that are also in our country, and we want to help them with really great ideas, with great potential ideas. Not hey, we need an app for a magazine. We want people to read whatever on our website. I mean, it's possible to do that with a template. We wanted to create amazing things. So one of these startups is called Sari. They're not my startup. They're a company that we're actually partnered with right now. And what they're doing is they're creating smartphone technology for sari-sari stores and micro entrepreneurs. And what this enables us to do is to actually help them keep track of their sales, manage their inventory, streamline their tasks, and help them understand their business. In fact, one of the things that we were able to do is they don't actually have a great understanding of how much they sell per day, per week, per month. So what we did is we actually said, hey, you know what? We can help inform them. And we can make it fun. We can gamify it using our experiences as game designers to give them targets. Okay, this month you didn't do as well as last month, but you can definitely make up for it next month. That sort of thing. And it can be extended to all sorts of things like potential improvements in job finding, because it's like a mini network, or disaster relief, because you can immediately donate to stores and they can serve as distribution centers instead of having to wait for trucks to be shipped. There's a lot that can be done with these. The point here, though, is there has to be a conscientiousness between the work that you, in the work that you choose. You have to believe in what you do. So what I'm trying to say is that doesn't mean, to make money, that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your goals or your ideals. It means you just have to be careful. And you have to have a reason behind doing the things that you do. For example, in our case, for games, it was because we wanted to have games that we wanted to play, right? But the games that we wanted to play, the games that we enjoyed, were games with rich experiences that told stories, that really brought you in. That meant something. Similarly, with software, we said we wanted software that acts as tools, that empowers people, and this is actually one great example. We didn't look for people like this, though. It's not like you can, advertise yourself, hey guys, we do outsourcing, we do development, right? But only if you have a great idea. That's a little insulting and condescending. But if you exude this sort of passion for what you do, like-minded people will come to you, right? I mean, the guys who approached us, the Sari people, Iba, the CEO, actually approached us because they were like, hey, I really liked what you guys did with Wildfire, and I'm trying to create this new thing that will help the bottom of the pyramid, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted you guys to do it because I really like what you guys do and what you want to do and what you believe in. So it's really important, to remember the reasons that you want to do something. That is to say that you just don't do something because you love it. But why do you love it, right? And if you do that, then things will just sort of naturally fall into place. But it's important that, as I've been saying, we wanted to do more than just develop the games and software. It's just really a means to an end. Games are, just another form of art. They're a means of experiencing things. They're a means of conveying things. And software, software is nice and all. You click stuff, you drag stuff, you type stuff. But it's what happens after you click stuff and type stuff. That's the important part, right? Software is an enabler. It's a tool, right? So there's a good example with Sari. But more than that, we also wanted to create, our own things that we launch. This, for example, is one thing that we're doing. It's called StoryLark. You can go to it at storylark.ph. It's not open to the public yet. But we're trying to create an online marketplace for independent comic creators and readers here locally, and then we'll expand it internationally. And the model is basically, it's like an iTunes or an App Store for independent comics. You can browse them, you can have authors that you follow be updated of the titles they release, and the like. And we did this because we recognized that there was a local creative industry, right? And the creative and technical industry. There are a lot of really good artists, there are a lot of really good developers, but more often than not, they're relegated to outsourcing, which again is not a bad thing. But if you look at, for example, the United States and Japan, they have a lot of creative and technically talented people, but they're recognized because they're able to do this cultural export. They're able to export these intellectual works and be recognized for it. We're doing a lot of this, but we're not being recognized for it. And again, that ties in with our original vision. We wanted to see things, we wanted to make the games and the software that we wanted to see, because we wanted to play them, but also because we wanted to be recognized for them, right? Not just ourselves, but perhaps our group, and not just our group, but perhaps, our country. So, a couple of final words while I'm there. It's important to find what you want to do, because that's how things fall into place. A lot of people think, okay, I'll go into business or I'll do so-and-so thing because it's secure and it's reliable. I know I'll have a good job. But I'm not sure you'll feel very fulfilled after that. if you do look for, and people say, okay, you have to aim big. Yeah, you have to dream to change the world. But the people who did change the world did not change the world because they set out to change the world. If you look at pick your favorite success story, whether that be a sports star, a business star, a designer, a computer engineer, an entrepreneur, they didn't become successful because they set out to be successful or to change the world or whatever. They just wanted to do what they wanted to do. And they stuck to it, you know, despite whatever people told them, whatever hardships they faced. And things just fell into place from there. The examples I gave are, you know, us finding an appropriate venue to launch ourselves, us finding the right people to connect with, and us being able to help our fellow people in the industry. And that's what I think is really important. Because if you just do what you believe in, everything will fall into place. So why did we do all of the things that we wanted to do? Because we felt like it. And if that ended us up in a better place than we would have if we thought a little rationally and thought, you know, no, I want to do something safe, I want to do something that gives us money, I want to do something, you know, that gets us somewhere, you know, then the better. So thank you very much for listening to my talk. I hope that you found it interesting.